Andrew, the Governor Philip Lowe today, as we touched on earlier, before the Senate estimates, I think he was probably he thought he was going to be in for a tougher run than he got. He was asked.
I felt too.
He seemed to manage it all pretty easily, I would have thought.
It was all, he seemed to block everyone out, and there weren't too many that he couldn't block out. So the coalition had the chance to grill the Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe at this Senate estimates hearing today. I have to say they kind of blew it as they sought to get Philip Lowe to bag the government for its fiscal policy, something that was never going to happen. Instead, Senator Jane Hume was more interested in asking about obscure parts of the Reserve Bank Act and suggested the governor might not know about them.
I was, believe it or not, reading the Reserve Bank Act just for fun.
Thank you.
And I realised that Section 11 has an amazing clause in it, and I'm not entirely sure that you're aware of this.
I am. I know Section 11 well.
Did you realise that if the Treasurer doesn't agree with your policy position, that after a certain amount of toing and froing with the board and swapping of papers, that he can submit a recommendation to the Governor-General, and then the Governor-General, acting with the advice of the Federal Executive Council, may by order determine the policy adopted by the bank. So the Treasurer can override the Reserve Bank's policy.
Yeah, and that's been the case since 1959. That provision has never been used, and in my view, it would be a retrograde step to ever use it.
Oh, what about that? It's enough to make you run for the Senate, frankly. The one question that Australians really want the answer to is, did Philip Lowe suggest at his now infamous lunch with Barrenjoey market traders recently that Australia's cash rate could go as far as the US Federal Reserve's, up to 4.75%, and that's from its current 3.35%. Senator Andrew Bragg got halfway through asking the question, but didn't seem to realise the comment was allegedly made at the Barrenjoey lunch.
I just want to get this right for the record. Did you infer before that the cash rate would go to 4.75%?
No, I didn't. If interpreted what I...
No, I just want to make sure we get the record right.
No, I didn't. I mean, I don't think I've talked about a number at all unless I completely misspoke.
Now, part of his testimony, Philip Lowe acknowledged his interest rate rises had hurt households, but said inflation had to be stopped.
We talk to ACOS, we get direct feedback from individuals, and we talk to the service providers who are helping people who are in difficulty, and we hear the message loud and clearly, and we factor that, and we talk about it at every board meeting, how this is really, really hurting some households. But we also talk about, if we don't get on top of this, the pain will be worse.
And the Green Senator Nick McKim asked Philip Lowe why he should still have his job.
Can you explain to the renters and mortgage holders of Australia why you still deserve to hold your job?
I have a 7-year term as the Governor of the bank, and I intend to serve out that term. It's an important job. It's not just me.
Understand.
We make them collectively and collaboratively, and the board has made these decisions, and I think it would be a very bad outcome for the board to have to resign. I'm accountable through this process. I'm accountable through the media commentary, which you might have observed is non-stop and around the clock. So.
You seem prepared to smash Australia into a recession.
She said that I seem intent on smashing Australia into a recession. Can I assure you that's not our intention?
Well, he says the media commentary is non-stop around the clock. Perhaps he watches Sky a lot, Philip Lowe. The Reserve Bank Governor wouldn't do what the Liberal senators wanted and say that the federal government was not doing enough on fiscal policy. But he did say there needed to be more work done on the budget going forward and on growing the economy.
At some point in the future, we'll have another downturn and we'll want the government to be able to respond. And you can only do that if the budget is a strong structural position. And my observation, and the observation of others, is there are a lot of demands on the public purse coming from health, ageing, defence, disability, education. The society wants the public sector to provide these things. If the governments want to do it, they need to find a way of paying for it, and that way isn't debt.